Do you ever feel like no matter what you do, your naturally curly hair never seems to grow? Or maybe it is growing, but you feel like it always seems to stay at the same length forever and you never actually see any length? Well, I'm gonna share with you some of the common causes of this and what you can do to improve your length retention. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Gina and here I make videos all about naturally curly hair. I love doing simplified step-by-step tutorials, talking about the science of hair, helping you problem solve, and so much more. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. I also wanted to thank Curlsmith for partnering with me for this video. They're one of my favorite brands of all time. They offer all natural products for curly hair that's vegan, cruelty-free, no harmful ingredients for your curls. And they're currently having a sale right now where when you spend $25, you get a free gift with purchase, which is any product of your choice from the Strength recipe. I'm actually gonna be featuring some of my favorite products from the Strength recipe, so stay tuned for my recommendations. I will have all the sale details listed in the description box down below, including the dates, because this is only going on for a limited time, so make sure that you check those dates so you don't miss out on the sale. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, let's talk about the difference between hair growth and length retention. These are two different things actually, but they're also related. So hair growth is obviously when the hair is growing out of your scalp. So that is hair growth from the root. If you didn't already know, your hair grows from the root. And when it grows, you will see more new growth coming in. So if you recently were experiencing some hair loss, you'll probably notice some short little hairs coming in. A lot of people lose hair around their temple areas as well as around like the crown area at the scalp. I'm currently experiencing a lot of new growth, so I have some short little baby hairs that are coming in all over and they're just kind of sticking up like antennas. Our hair is always growing new hairs as we're also losing hair, so you're always going to have some new growth coming in. That's completely normal, and people's hair grows at different rates just depending on many factors such as genetics, their diet. There's so many different things that can contribute to the rate at which your hair grows. Now, length retention is different, and that is how well you can actually retain the length in your hair. So this has to do with the hair that's already on our head at the lengths of our hair. So this is what you want to maintain because this hair is the oldest that's down at the bottom. You want to make sure that you can keep that hair as healthy as possible so that way it doesn't become damaged and then actually appear shorter, which we will talk about why that happens. So if you have good length retention in your hair, then you will actually see your hair get longer. So as your hair grows, it will actually appear longer. So the ends of your hair, they might be right here and they will actually be down here after several months or even several years, depending on how slow your hair grows. So how can you tell if your hair is actually growing or not? Well, it's really hard if you don't have color treated hair. If you have color treated hair, like if you dye your hair blonde or if you have your hair completely covered like your entire head, you will see that new growth come in, and that's why you have roots showing. So if you're someone that has highlights, you can see those roots start to grow out to where you will have your natural hair color showing that new growth. So that's super obvious. But if you don't color your hair like me, it can be hard to tell sometimes when your hair is growing. I personally like to take photos of my hair before and after I get a haircut. I actually just got a haircut yesterday, so that's why my ends are looking nice and fresh. But I like to track this progress with photos. You can even measure it. It's really tough to measure curly hair. You will want to actually stretch your curl down if you're going to measure it. But it's really hard to tell sometimes because your hair might grow very slow. So you really just have to look at your hair, look at photos, but you need to also consider how different curls can look. With different styling techniques and different products, they will shrink up more compared to others. So it can be really tough. But I'm sure your hair is growing. As long as you're healthy, it's probably growing at a normal rate. So what if your hair is growing at the root, but you're not actually seeing that length? So let's dive into some of those common problems and solutions for how to fix it. So the first most common problem that is causing poor length retention is having split ends at the end of your hair. So if your hair is damaged at the end and it actually splits, so this can be from heat and lots of different factors, that split end can actually split further up the hair shaft. So the solution for this, and this is really the only solution for this that actually works and gets rid of it, is to get a haircut. Nobody likes to hear that sometimes if you're trying to grow your hair out, but getting even the smallest little trim can make a big difference and can prevent those split ends from splitting further up the strand. I was so resistant to this when I was transitioning my hair from heat damage to trying to get it healthy with its natural curls. I felt like my hair just would never grow. I was trying to get frequent trims, but then I was just damaging it in the meantime. So this can be really tough, but getting frequent trims can maintain that health to where it doesn't split further up, especially if you were growing out old damage. I was growing out damage that I had from highlights and also from heat. I should have just gotten a bigger haircut and gotten all of it cut off, and my life would have been so much easier, but I was resistant to that because I didn't want super short hair, which is nothing wrong with short hair. I should have just done it. But I held on to those highlighted ends for so long, and I'm sure they just split up further because I did have split ends, and I was getting regular trim. So that's a solution, I guess, if you don't want a major haircut. At least go very frequently to get those ends trimmed to keep it healthy and to speed up that recovery process, because then you're trimming more and more every time to where you can finally get up to the healthier hair. So what you'll also want to do is protect those ends during this transitioning process or as you were trying to get your hair healthy, especially if you already have split ends, and in between haircuts, you'll want to make sure that you are taking special care of your ends. So my favorite way to do this is by using an oil to protect my ends. This oil is from Curlsmith. This is from actually their fragrance-free line. This is their Shine oil, but Curlsmith has several different oils. They actually have one in their strength recipe as well. This is a brand new bottle of the bonding oil. So any type of oil is going to be really great at sealing in your ends and just protecting your ends, especially before shampooing. So what I like to do is do a pre-shampoo oil or a pre-poo oil before I go in and shampoo my hair. This is gonna protect the hair from getting further damage during the detangling process, during the shampooing process, which can actually really damage hair that's already damaged, especially if you're using a strong cleanser, which I don't recommend doing too often if you do have damaged hair. But any type of friction, especially on damaged hair, can lead to even more cuticle damage, even more split ends, and even cause protein and moisture loss from your ends. So an oil helps to just provide some slip and lubrication and also sealant on those split ends and on any damage of your hair to help protect it from further damage. This was game-changing for me when I implemented a pre-poo oil treatment. As I started dry detangling, which was much better for my hair, especially when it was very damaged. I was doing this a lot as I started transitioning, and I definitely think it made a big difference. You'll also want to be very careful when you are detangling. If you are detangling your hair and you're seeing a ton of short little hairs all in your sink or in your shower, usually that's from breakage, especially if it doesn't have that little bulb at the end where it came out of your scalp, then you know it's from breakage. If both ends are completely blunt, or maybe even one end is kind of like stretched out and thinner looking, that's usually from breakage. Or you can kind of see where that little piece of hair has a split end, and that's just where it broke off. So if you're doing a lot of rough detangling, especially on hair that has a lot of split ends, you can get even more split ends, and those split ends can then just split further up the hair shaft. So we really want to avoid that. So having any type of slip in your hair before you shampoo and also while you're detangling is key. You don't want to go in and shampoo hair that is already tangled up and super matted. That's just going to lead to even more tangles. That's why using a pre-poo oil can really help. Another option, if you don't want to dry detangle, is to use a conditioner before your shampoo to detangle. And so that way you have some slip in there, and at least your ends have some lubrication from that conditioner. Then you can shampoo and then apply your conditioner or your deep conditioner again afterwards for actual moisture. But the point of it before would be just to help remove those tangles and protect your ends. So the next common cause of poor length retention is you're not protecting your hair with a heat protectant before you diffuse. Yes, even diffusing is heat. It's obviously much safer heat compared to using a straightening or a curling iron, but it's still heat on our hair, and we don't want to be skipping heat protectant. I'm totally guilty of this. I always forget because I'm just focused on my stylers, and diffusing isn't that bad for your hair, so you just go in and diffuse. But taking the extra time to just spritz a heat protectant will make a big difference. So my favorite one that I've been using lately is the Curlsmith Miracle Shield Heat Protectant Spray. This is actually part of their strength recipe, so it is part of the sale. You can get this free with any $25 purchase. This is a spray that you want to apply after your leave-in conditioner if you do use one, but before your styling product. So you actually apply this first, sort of like a prep product before you go in and style your hair. So you apply it to clean hair that is not styled yet or anything like that, hair that is wet, that's when you spritz this on. So this not only protects your hair from heat damage, but it also has environmental protection and sun protection. So the sun can also be very damaging on the hair, especially if you wear your hair up to where your ends are kind of sticking up towards the sun. Like if you do a messy bun, I love to do that. You don't want to bake out in the sun for hours anyways for your skin, but you also don't want to do that to your hair because it can be very damaging. So this helps provide some UV protection. So it's a great product for the summertime. So I spritz this all over my hair and then I follow up with my styling products. It's also very moisturizing. It's super lightweight. It's not going to like soften up your gel cast. That was always my fear with using heat protectants, is I thought you had to use them after your gel and then I didn't want it to ruin my gel cast. This doesn't do that at all because you put it on it before your styling products. It's not too heavy or anything like that. You can use this with all hair types. Actually, this product doesn't even contain like strong proteins or anything like that. So even if you're somebody that doesn't love using proteins in your hair, like if you have low porosity hair, or maybe your hair is super coarse and you're worried about using proteins because they can make your hair kind of stiff, this doesn't even have those in it. So any hair type can use this product and it still has those strengthening properties in it without those strong proteins. So really great product, and I love that it works with all hair types. You also want to make sure that your hair dryer is not getting too hot. That's why I love the Curlsmith Diffusion hair dryer, because it's specifically designed for naturally curly hair and it doesn't get too hot. I even use this on the hottest heat setting and it's still not as hot as some other hair dryers, even on the lowest heat setting on those dryers. So definitely recommend it. It's been my go-to. It's been the one that I've been using the most because it dries my hair really fast because of the large diffuser bowl without using high heat. So that's like what you need with naturally curly hair. While I was transitioning and I had those damaged ends, I was using a hair dryer that got way too hot for my curls. I wasn't diffusing properly. I was like holding the diffuser on my ends forever and just being kind of rough with it. And that caused so much more damage. I wish I had a hair dryer like this back when I was transitioning from heat damage. So the next common cause of poor length retention, it could be that you're not incorporating regular bond building treatments or protein treatments or protein deep conditioners if you're somebody that has very damaged hair or if your hair is super fine. Those hair types definitely need these types of strengthening products on a regular basis to help you along the process as you were recovering from damage. I still recommend getting a trim. That's the only way to fully get rid of split ends. But bond repair treatments can help to strengthen the broken bonds in your hair as you are transitioning and just to maintain healthy hair overall, no matter what your hair type is. But especially for those damaged hair types, you want to use a bond building treatment to help strengthen it. So this is the Curlsmith Bond Curl Rehab Salve. This is one of the best bond building treatments because you not only get so much product compared to others, but it repairs all three types of bonds in your hair. It helps strengthen those. So no matter what your damage is from, this can definitely address that. So this contains natural ingredients such as chia seed, shiitake mushrooms, prickly pear, pumpkin seed oil, guava, and kale. So it's super moisturizing. I actually find this to be a very moisturizing treatment. So this product is pretty unique compared to other bond building treatments because it also contains protein ingredients. So it's both a protein treatment and a bond building treatment. I actually find this pretty easy to apply as well because it does have moisturizing ingredients that provide a slip, so it's a lot easier to get through my hair. So something like this you actually apply before you shampoo. So you can apply this to dirty hair. You will want to just get it damp first and then apply it in sections and then comb it through, make sure it's evenly coated. And then you let it sit. Depending on how damaged your hair is or what your hair type is, you'll want to let it sit longer, or you will want to use it more frequently. With somebody that doesn't have as much damage, you could just do like 10 minutes or so, whereas if you had more damage, you could leave it on, say, up to 20 minutes, and then you shampoo it out afterwards. So make sure that you don't skip the shampooing part because you don't want to leave something like this in your hair. Also, do not sleep in this. You don't want to leave it on your hair too long like that. So shampoo it out and then you use a deep conditioner afterwards. I recommend using a deep conditioner that is protein free. That way you have a good balance of protein and moisture in your hair. Now, a bond building treatment is not meant to soften your hair or make it feel super moisturized. It's actually going to kind of do the opposite and give your hair more strength and structure. So that's why I like to use a moisturizing conditioner or a deep conditioner after I shampoo for that softness and moisturization. Now, here's another option if you don't necessarily have very damaged damaged hair, but you just want to maintain that strength. Or if you have super damaged hair, you can use this in between your bond curl treatments. This is the Curlsmith Multitasking Conditioner. So this is also part of the strength recipe. So it is part of that sale, but this is the 3-in-1 conditioner. This is a multi-purpose product. So it's a leave-in conditioner, so you can put it on, you know, before you apply your styling products. It's a rinse out product, so it's just like a regular conditioner, or if you leave it on longer, it's a deep conditioner. So I love that. I actually use this as a deep conditioner before this wash day that you see right now. I apply this all over, and I usually leave it on my hair for maybe about 10 to 20 minutes. I think I did about 20 for this one, and then I rinsed it out, and my hair is so soft. So this is not only strengthening, but it's also very moisturizing. And the protein ingredients in here I don't find to be super strong and powerful to where they're gonna give your hair like a brittle feeling. This is actually properly balanced with moisture, and I think that you could use this no matter what your hair type is. If you have a hair type like low porosity hair that can be resistant sometimes to protein, or maybe your hair is coarse and it doesn't need as much protein, this is still gonna be a good option for you. You just wouldn't have to use it as often, or you wouldn't have to use as much product. So the next problem or cause could be you are soaking your hair every day when you are refreshing, or maybe you're sleeping with wet hair, or you were just over moisturizing your hair. There is a thing called high growth fatigue with curly hair, and also over moisturization. Both of these involve using too much water too frequently, or washing your hair too often, or using too moisturizing products and you're not using enough protein in your routine too. But for high growth fatigue, that's actual damage that can occur on your hair from repeated wetting and drying of the hair. So the hair shaft actually swells when it gets wet. And then if you're doing that every single day, or even multiple times a day, getting your hair completely saturated wet, that's just a lot of stress and strain on your hair's cortex and on your hair's cuticle layer. So you don't want to be doing that every single day, and I was definitely guilty of this, especially as I was transitioning, because my hair did not look very good. And unfortunately, when your hair is high porosity damaged, or like during your transitioning process, you will notice that your style doesn't last as long, and the products tend to evaporate and the moisture evaporates from your hair on day 2, which then makes you want to refresh and completely wet your hair down and restyle. So it's just a vicious cycle though, because that can just lead to even more damage. So I wish somebody would have told me this back when I was transitioning, because I'm pretty sure I was causing even more damage because I refreshed my hair and wet it down almost every day. And now that my hair is a lot healthier, it can last a lot longer. So I've been trying to only refresh when I absolutely have to. So I recommend skipping refreshing when you can. If your hair does look really bad, but you just washed it yesterday, wear some cute updos, wear it in a headband, a scarf, do something to where you don't have to wet it down. Or if you do want to refresh, then just use less water. This is really about saturating your hair. That's not great for it. So you can do other refreshing techniques, like just spritzing with a little bit of water, maybe using steam, just doing something to where it's a light refresh versus completely soaking your hair. Like if you're getting in the shower and wetting your hair down every day, that's basically just like washing it every day. Yes, you're not stripping out the oils, but you are completely wetting your hair down, which puts a lot of stress on it over time. So this can lead to damage and breakage, which can eventually lead to shorter looking hair. So you really want to avoid doing this every single day. Also, when it comes to over moisturization, you do not want to be sleeping in your deep conditioner or going to bed with wet hair. Now, if you do this every once in a while, it's not going to hurt anything, but you don't want to do this repeatedly. It's really not great for your scalp. You can get scalp funguses and other scalp conditions by leaving damp, wet hair against your scalp all night, especially if you're covering it like in a plop, in a t-shirt or something like that. It's really not great for your scalp. Your scalp needs air for a healthy scalp, and it needs to be dry. But it can also over moisturize your hair, which can stretch it out, and you really lose that elasticity in your hair. Your hair might feel kind of gummy and mushy, or it will just stretch and stretch if you pull it, and that can eventually lead to breakage and just overall very limp curls. So this might not be as common because it's definitely more of an extreme situation, so hopefully not everyone is doing this, but I did want to mention it because it can cause damage in your hair. And one other thing with over moisturization, this also involves people who style with their hair soaking wet and they use very heavy products and then they air dry, and they're not squeezing out that excess water before they air dry or before they diffuse. So if you're going hours on end with your hair still very wet, or if it takes like 2 days for your hair to dry, or if your hair still feels wet the next morning, it could be over moisturized. this even happens to me, and I don't even have super thick hair. If I use too much moisture, or maybe I use too much water in my routine, it can still feel a little damp inside by the end of the day, and that's not really great for your hair to stay wet for a long period of time, because again, our hair cuticle is swelled when it's wet. When it's swelled, it's more prone to breakage and loss of protein and moisture and everything. So you just wanna make sure that you get it dry as quickly as possible. That's why I love to diffuse. But even if you're an air dry person, still make sure that you are scrunching your hair with a hair towel, a microfiber towel like the Curlsmith one, before you air dry or before you diffuse to speed up that drying process. So the next common problem that could be causing a lot of breakage or poor length retention is wearing your hair up very tightly and not protecting your hair overnight. Both of these can lead to a lot of breakage. If you're slicking your hair back in a tight bun and you're wearing it like that every day, or maybe you have to wear it up every single day for your job, unfortunately that can lead to a lot of breakage, especially around the hairline and even at the crown. You might notice you have short little hairs all over at the crown, and that's where your hair tie is putting a lot of tension. Anytime you have a lot of tension and friction on the hair, it can really put stress on your hair follicles and even on your links, and then lead to breakage. So that's why I highly recommend silk products or satin products. They are your best friend with curly hair. If I could have everything in silk, I would. But it's so good for your hair, so I would look for things like a silk or a satin pillowcase. Sleeping on that is really great at night, not only for your skin, but for your hair as well. The Curlsmith vegan silk pillowcase is a great option. It's super smooth and slippery, so your hair just glides right over it. You can also wear your hair up in a silk scarf to protect it at night, or a satin scarf. Curlsmith actually makes some. This one is so pretty for the summertime. I love their scarves, but look at this. How pretty is this print for summertime? So I love wearing these when I'm going to be out in the sun, or if you're somebody that wants to work out like at a gym or outside and you want to protect your curls, but you don't want to wear like your bonnet. You can wear a silk or satin scarf like this and tie it up really cute, and that will keep your hair up off of your neck, and it will also keep it protected from the sun, which, as I mentioned, can be very damaging as well. So this slippery, silky material is what is going to glide over your curls and prevent any unwanted friction or breakage. And when you do want to wear your hair up, or if you do have to wear it up every day, I highly recommend wearing it up in a silk scrunchie and wearing it loosely. Loose hairstyles are where it's at. You can even use some clips if your hair doesn't stay up in a scrunchie, but using a scrunchie is what's going to help keep your curls up without putting too much tension, because they're usually a lot larger. They're not like those very thin bands that can cause a lot of breakage on the hair, and they also glide very nicely over your curls because they have that slippery material. So what if you're not doing any of these things and you feel like your hair is really healthy, but you're still not seeing that length retention and you can't seem to get your curls to grow? Well, that could be because your curl pattern has gotten tighter. With curly hair, because it takes that spiral shape, or even with wavy hair, it's going to appear a lot shorter compared to somebody with straight hair. It can take us twice as long to grow out our hair compared to someone with straight hair, because our hair is taking that twist and bend, so there's a lot more to go around before we actually get any length in our hair. So if you are currently transitioning, or maybe you've already transitioned like myself to where you don't have any more highlight damage, you don't have any heat damage, and you take really good care of your hair, but it still doesn't seem to grow, it could just be that your hair is getting healthier, and when our hair becomes healthier, it gets back to its natural curl pattern, the real curl pattern that your hair has without any type of damage to it. Damage will loosen your curl pattern typically, and can also loosen your waves. So as you get healthier hair, you'll notice that that curl pattern is going to change. It might even look a lot larger than it did before, and that can also kind of make it just appear shorter. If it's taking larger spirals, it's going to shrink up. And same if your hair is getting tighter, it's just going to shrink more with you having more ringlets. So this is not a bad thing at all. This is not a problem. It's actually a good thing because your curls are getting healthy. It's just going to take a little bit longer to grow your hair out, especially as it's getting healthier. So I think this is definitely what has happened with me, because I never seem to get hair like past right here. Now, if I stopped getting trims altogether, then I probably would start to see longer hair. Actually, right before I got this trim, I was seeing a lot of length, but my hair was also getting very stringy, and because I have low density hair, I can't really grow it too long without it looking very sparse on the ends. And so I do like having a shorter blunt cut. So my hair looks a lot fuller now that I got it cut. but unfortunately that just means that I'm gonna just have to maintain like this shoulder length hair, because once I start to grow it too long, unfortunately it just looks too thin. But I still get regular trims. I've been going about every 3 months, and that really maintains healthier ends for me, because if I try and stretch it, like I said, then I just end up with a lot of stringiness. So if you do want to elongate your curls, which I recommend embracing your healthy bouncy curls, but if you do want to elongate them, if you just prefer that look or you want to avoid shrinkage, then you can use different styling techniques that help elongate your curls, or you would want to avoid techniques that really enhance your curl pattern. So think brush styling, finger coiling, all of those really make your curls spring up and take a spiral pattern. So avoid those. You can do more raking and more of like a downward motion when you are styling, and then you can opt for air drying, which definitely elongates the hair more. Or if you do want to diffuse, you can use different diffusing techniques that kind of stretch the curls. So you wouldn't be going in and scrunching your hair with a diffuser. You would be kind of gently pulling it downwards, or maybe you're just hovering. That way you don't get too much shrinkage. So there are some things you can do if you want to create more length in your hair, if you don't want to have a lot of shrinkage. So now let's quickly talk about what to do if you don't feel like your hair is growing from the scalp. So you're not having length retention because it's not growing, like it's actually not growing out of your scalp. So this is almost always caused by something internally, obviously because our hair grows from our scalp and it's influenced by things internally like our blood flow, our nutrients, all of that. And so usually it's caused by nutrient deficiencies, any type of medical condition, anything that's hormone related usually affects our hair as well. And also poor nutrition. Our diet and our nutrition has a lot to do with our hair and our nails and our skin. So if you're not eating properly, that can lead to slower hair growth. But I dive into all of this in a video that I did recently, all about why your hair might be thinning. And so I talk about my experience with hair loss and thinning, and I go over all of the causes. So it's just like this one. So I recommend checking that out. I can link it in the card if you want to see more about what to do if your hair is actually not growing very fast at all from the scalp. So don't forget to check out the Curlsmith sale so you don't miss out on getting a free strength recipe product. And if you need help picking out any products to get, let me know in the comments, and also tell me your hair's texture and your porosity and your hair goals. That way I can help you select the right product for you from Curlsmith. So I will have all the products that I mentioned in this video linked in the description box below. I'm also going to link you to the products that I used in this routine because I'm blown away by these results. I actually used a combination from Curlsmith that I hadn't tried before, including their gel from the strength recipe, the Shape Up Aqua Gel. That is a great gel too that has protein in it, and these are my results from it. So I will put those details in the description box below if you want to know what's in my hair right now. And if you're still looking for more help on dealing with breakage and damage, then I recommend checking out the video that I will have linked right here on the screen. It's all about the common causes of breakage and how to prevent them. It's called Breakage 101. So I will put that video linked right here, and I will talk to you over there. Bye everyone.